Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are doing some quantitative reasoning questions live, so you guys understand how quickly we need to do these calculations, how to cut time with these things, what you need to be thinking when you're doing these questions, and all of those things. So if you're interested, keep on watching, and I'll also be giving you some insight and some tips that you can use when you're doing your exam. But before we begin, there are some few important things that I think will really improve your accuracy and your timing if you implement them. So here they are. And the first one is obviously being familiar with all of the different question types. So there are 16 different question types, and I go through them in this video over here, and as well as some other like basic formulae and stuff like that. But you really want to make sure that you have good exposure to these questions and you know how to work out, for example, basic income tax questions and stuff like that, and you want to know exactly where to find the relevant info and stuff like that, because that will not only increase your accuracy because you know exactly what steps you need to do in the calculation to get to the final answer, but also it will improve your time because you know exactly where to find the relevant info. You will also know exactly what you're looking for, what is irrelevant. You won't be, for example, frozen when you see this kind of question. You're like, I have no idea how to do these because I've been avoiding them throughout all of my practice and stuff like that. So it's really important to get familiar with these questions. There are so many question types, but they always come up again and again, and it is a very practicable subtask for you that you can work on and you will see improvement on. The second thing, which I think a lot of people neglect, is making sure you have your mental maths up to speed. Like, you don't want to be wasting time doing small little calculations in your head. You need to know your timetables, your like basic multiplications. There are things like minute to hour decimals and stuff like that, and I go through that in that video as well, and I have a free cheat sheet as well for you to download, because it goes through loads of things like, for example, area of a circle. You should know that, area of a trapezium, and all of these random things that you just need to know: speed, distance, time, which you should just know inside out. So I've kind of gone into my third point here, but you obviously want to make sure you know all of these formulae inside out, as well as you want to make sure that your mental maths and everything is really up to par, because you don't want to be relying on that clunky calculator. It just adds on so much time that you just don't have for the exam. And obviously it sounds like, okay, it's not going to take that much time for me to put in this small little calculation, it'll get me the answer, but actually it takes so long, because in the Pearson View Center it's going to be some old computer. The mouse is not going to be as good as your nice laptop mouse and stuff like that, so you just need to be ready to use your brain a lot. And the final thing that I talk about a lot so much is timing is imperative. You really need to be diligent with your pacing. You need to make sure that you're on it, that you're sticking to your time allotted for the question, and you're doing things like keyboard shortcuts to save time. And there are so many other things that you can do to save time, but you basically need to make sure that you are on it. You don't need to be wasting any time. You're flagging questions that you find too complex and you're not getting stuck on them and wasting time like that. You need to go through it systematically, and one of the best ways I think you can practice timing is going the full length and doing a mock and doing it timed. And your scores will change so much when it's timed and when it's not, because there's a lot more pressure, your brain goes like foggy and stuff like that. So you just need to practice your timing, your focus, all of that stuff. It all comes to play when you get your score at the end. And obviously I have so many other tips and stuff like that, but I don't want to bore you, so check out that video on quantitative reasoning if you're interested, and let's get into the questions. So for these questions I used Medify and MedicMind. I go through a whole video on all of the resources, the pros and cons, the price versus amount of questions, paid, free, all of that stuff, so check that video out. But it's not important where I get the questions, it's more about you seeing how I go through these questions and stuff like that. So yeah, let's go on to the first question. Okay, there are a lot of graphs, a lot of information. So the median monthly salary of males who are Oracle professionals, approximately what percentage greater than that of females in the same occupation? Okay, on the exam I wouldn't be able to read the whole thing, so practice the things I told you in VR, which you're looking at the big words. So I would see median monthly salary, males, Oracle professionals, percent greater than females in the same occupation. So it's a percentage change. You want to look at Oracle professionals, and you want to look female versus male, median monthly salary. Okay, so doing like a quick scan through of the different charts and tables, I see that median monthly salary is in a table. So, and I also see Oracle professionals, and I see median monthly salary, which is really good. I don't have to figure that out, and it says female and male. So to answer this question, what you do is you take the male's median value and you'd minus it from the females, so you get the percent greater, because obviously the males is greater than the females at the moment, and then you divide it by the female, because that's how you get the percent greater. And this is a percentage that you can see my free cheat sheet if you want to download that. But yeah, basically it's percentage difference, and the difference is 16.7% So that is the last answer. Okay, that is like a semi-long question, but because we found the information really quickly, we can go straight ahead with it. Obviously, I would say ideally estimate and round it, but because there were 3 answers that were all very close together, 16.7, 16.9, 16.7, then I thought it was just worth doing it. The next one is the number of LAN operators employed by MS is approximately how much more or less than that of IBM mainframe specialists employed by it. Okay, so what this is looking at is it's looking at the pie chart, and you're looking at the LAN operators. So I see that's 9%, and it's how much more or less than the number of IBM mainframe. So that's 10%. Interesting. Okay, so this is really straightforward as well. So what you do is you just find the relevant info like I've done. You first look at the keywords, so LAN operators, blah blah blah. You find that it's the circle pie chart. You see that LAN operators are 9%, you see that IBM mainframe specialist is 10%, and then you work out the percentage change. And this is another common equation that I've talked about in my video and my free cheat sheets. So basically you do 9 minus 10, which is obviously minus 1 over 10, and that gives you minus 0.1, which is a 10% decrease. And yeah, that's pretty chill. I know that for Medify, they kind of give away what the answer is, because there's 2 answers that were very close to each other. For example, 10% more, 10% less. And even with the other one, there was that whole 16.7 less, 16.7 more. So I'm not really too keen on that, but I don't think it's like that in the actual exam. It obviously kind of gives you away, and it's a little bit easier to do it over here, and it kind of like nudges you in the direct direction, but in the actual exam it's not going to be like that. I always tell people, if you want to know how representative it is, make sure you do the official UCAT questions and stuff like that. But I digress. Let's go on to the next question. Out of all the occupations, how much do men earn more than women? Oh my god, this is going to take ages. Okay. Oh, okay, so it's not actually going to take that long, because I looked at the median monthly salary, and it says all occupations, and it also says male and female, so this is probably what we're going to use. Oh, so this is actually quite simple. It's the same thing, it's a percentage difference kind of equation, and you're using those 2 numbers, 12,390 and 9,093. You minus them from each other. Obviously the male would go first because that's the bigger number, but also because it's a percent change. And then at the bottom you'd have the female salary, because you know it's how much more do men earn than women, and then you'd times it by 100, and that would give you a percent change, which is 36.3%. I understand if you need to use the calculator to do the whole division thing, but you don't need to do it for the subtraction thing. So yeah, don't waste time like that. Okay, so which occupation holds the greatest ratio of females to males? This I've already seen is like that little chart thing, and it says female employees in each occupation as a percent of total employees in that occupation. So that would be females over total. So which one has the greatest ratio would be the biggest number there. So I'm assuming it's LAN operators. Basically they've done something really tricky here, which is they have kind of lined up the lines to the columns in the table next door. So that's what you have to look at. And when they say that this female employees in each occupation as a percent of their total employers, so it's female employees over female plus male employees. So to have the greatest ratio, the greatest female to total ratio, it would have to be the biggest number, because with fractions it's like obviously not a whole number, so you want the female ratio to be as big as possible. That gives it a bigger number, and that's how you know the 86.2% is the biggest one, because it's LAN, and that matches up to LAN, which is the answer. Let's do Medic Mind. Okay, so this question has a lot of data, and the first thing I want to do is going to go to the question, because we don't have time to read the whole of the passage. You only want to be reading basically the important information. So yeah, Tara takes 2 daughters, haircut, senior stylist, but she relieves Mary. So okay, so Tara has 2 daughters. She goes for the senior stylist. Mary, I think that's her daughter, gets it from a trainee, but she gets her hairstyle too, which increases the cost by 15%. Rachel gets a haircut from the assistant, but because she's under 12, she has a 30% discount. How much is she asked to pay? Now this step has a lot of steps in it, a lot more percent to change questions and stuff like that. So I actually recommend not actually even doing this question, but because we have to, let's first of all, so what we have to do is Tara gets a senior stylist, so hers is £80. Let's write that down. Okay, so £80, and then we know that her daughter Mary had a trainee, so that's £40, and she got her hair styled too, which increases the cost by 15%. Okay, so that's plus 15%, and then Rachel gets a haircut from the assistant, which is £25, but it is 30, so minus a 30% discount. So a really quick way to do this is when you do like, so because Rachel's haircut was £25 and you want to minus 30%, what you do is you actually just do £25 times 0.7, and that gives you 70% of £25, which gives you how much you need to do, which I think is genius. And obviously if you know how to do like quick maths and mental maths, you'll be able to do this in your head, and that is something I really recommend that you do. I'm like so gassed that my A-levels maths is coming into use here, but yeah. And in the same way, how you figure out what Mary had, she had £40 plus 15%. So you do the opposite, you do 1.15, so that gets you like the full 100 plus 15%, and that's how you do like decimal quickly. And the total over there is 46. So what you do is you do 80 plus 46 plus 17.5, and let me just quickly do that, and that is £143.50. So the answer, let's see where that is, £143.50. The answers are also very close together, so really is it worth doing estimation and rounding? No, because you won't be able to find the answer within the right range just by estimation. But yeah, that wasn't like too bad. It sounded very complex actually, but because it's only percent change, and percent change is something I'm very comfortable and familiar with, it is something I still would do as long as I know that I'm rapid with it. If I know that this is something that would take me a really long time to do, I would flag it and move on. Okay, so I wanted to do a bit of a different question because I feel like we've done the same kind of questions over and over again. So let's go with this one. I tried to look for a Venn diagram one, but I couldn't, so I'm just gonna settle on this degree one. And it says, if all pumps were used, how many liters of water should be delivered in 1 hour? Okay, so it looks like it's about some hose, pond, there's 4 pumps, they can be adjusted. Each pump can deliver 1.2 liters of water every 15 seconds. Water is delivered everywhere. Okay, so this is a very simple question. It says that each pump can deliver 1.2 liters every 15 seconds. So if we times that by 4, that is per minute, so that's 4.8 liters per minute. And then if we times that by 60, you can get what it is in an hour, because that's the unit that's used in the question. And so that gives you with 288 liters, and then if you times that by 4, you get 4 pumps, and then that answer is 1152, which is D. So that is the answer. Obviously, I don't think I could easily do that in my head. I would most likely do, I don't know if you know the multiplications table and stuff like that, that could be really helpful here, and that's probably what I would do. And this is another type of question which we haven't done yet. If the circumference of the pond was 11.3 meters, which angle of the pump should Priya select to ensure the water covers the pond? Okay, so I remember it says that the water is delivered everywhere within a quadrant of a pond set by the distances in the table. Okay, so basically what it's saying is that depending on the angle of elevation of the pump, it is spread out within different distances. So to get to this pond, which is circumference is 11.3 meters, remember circumference is the total of the outside, which angle of the pump should Priya select to ensure that water covers the whole pond? So, and to find out how far from the middle you would need to go out to the edge is you want to know radius. So you'd probably use the circumference equation, which is circumference equals 2 pi r. So what you do is you would do circumference divided by 2 pi to equal r, and then that r would be the radius, and that would show you how far you need to go, and it would then and you could therefore put that number into this table where it says distance, and then find out which angle you need. Okay, so let's do that. So the circumference is obviously 11.3, and then you'd divide it by 2 times pi, and pi is 3.14, which is something I have on my free cheat sheet. Another plug, but it's for your own benefit because it's free. And then so that would give you 1.8, and 1.8 basically is not covered by the 8 degrees, but it is covered by 10 degrees, so the answer would be 10, because that would cover the entire distance of the pond. Well, that's all from me. I hope that was really helpful in like kind of explaining how you need to be thinking about going about these questions, what kind of relevant info you need to find out quickly, and how to go about answering these questions effectively and stuff like that. If you found this helpful, you might find my other UCAT videos really helpful. I have a quantitative reasoning video all about, like, for example, I go through each of the 16 different question types as well as how to answer them and common formulae and stuff like that you need to know. Free cheat sheets on every single one of my UCAT subtests, as well as loads of other content on my channel, including how to get into dental school and day in the life of a dental student because I'm now a 4th year, and productivity tips. So if those are things that you're interested in, make sure you subscribe and comment and do all of the things, and I will see you soon. Bye!